The great tragedy of the modern human experience is not the lack of opportunity, but the chronic devaluation of the time we are giving. We measure our lives not by impact, but by duration, drifting through seasons defined by inertia, promising ourselves a drastic overhaul that always begins next Monday, next month, or worst of all, next year. This perpetual postponement is the quiet killer of potential, the silent saboteur that turns ambition into regret. The truth, immutable and profound, is that transformation is not a single cataclysmic event. It is a meticulously planned campaign, executed over a defined period of aggressive commitment. We stand now at the precipice of such a campaign, a 5-month strategic immersion designed not just to alter results, but to fundamentally redesign the operating system of your life. This is the 5 months transformation plan, forged in the philosophical crucible of Jim Rohn's most powerful life strategies. 5 months. 220 weeks, or approximately 150 days, deliberately isolated from the noise of indefinite self-help to become the definitive season of your personal mastery. The immediate capture point, the true hook, lies in the terrifying simplicity of the challenge. If you continued the precise trajectory you are on today, where exactly would you land 5 months from now? Would the needle of prosperity, health, or knowledge move even a single measurable millimeter? For most, the answer is a sobering, paralyzing stillness. They will possess the same debts, the same complaints, the same comfortable, predictable frustrations. This stagnation, this slow decay of potential, is precisely the conflict we must address. Jim Rohn famously posed the ultimate question of self-determination. If you want things to change, you must change. If you want things to get better, you must get better.
It is a deceptively simple maxim, yet its implementation is what separates the masters from the masses. The majority attempt to rearrange the external circumstances, the job, the relationship, the environment, while remaining structurally identical internally. They're attempting to pour new wine into old skins, a futile effort guaranteed to yield disappointment. The 5-month plan rejects this superficial approach. It mandates an internal revolution first, a philosophical reconstruction that must precede any visible external victory. This period is dedicated to the systematic dismantling of the limiting beliefs and poor habits that have silently accumulated over years. The conflict, therefore, is not with the world. It is with the established, comfortable version of yourself that resists the necessary pain of growth. We have established the tension, the desperate need for change versus the inherent human resistance to discipline. But how do we bridge this gap?
We open the loops of curiosity. This strategic immersion requires total, ruthless focus across 3 foundational areas. Areas most people either ignore or dabble in half-heartedly. What are these 3 unshakable pillars that will support the entire structure of the next 5 months? And what is the single, non-negotiable mental shift you must execute on day 1 to ensure success? These questions will guide our architectural design. The development phase of this transformation plan begins not with activity, but with introspection, a deep, uncompromising audit of the current state of affairs. Jim Rohn taught that you must carefully examine the cullings of your past season to determine the proper sowing for the new season. We must calculate the cost of our previous negligence. Where have you allowed the slow erosion of discipline to dictate your destiny? The failure to read the crucial book, the decision to hit the snooze button just one more time, the casual acceptance of mediocre company, the relentless consumption of low-value information. These are the slight errors that compound into heavy failures over time. The cumulative weight of these daily neglects
is the very definition of the problem we are solving. The strategic genius of the 5-month time frame lies in its psychological positioning. It is long enough to shatter old identity patterns, forcing the brain to rewire deep neurological pathways through consistent high-intensity repetition. But crucially, it is short enough to maintain an emergency level of focus. It's the perfect sprint duration, a season where maximum output is sustainable because the finish line is clearly in sight. To execute this plan, we must first master the art of deliberate neglect. Most people are overwhelmed because they try to do too many things poorly.
Transformation demands ruthlessly prioritizing the few activities that yield exponential returns, while deliberately neglecting the thousands of lower-value distractions that steal time and cognitive bandwidth. During these 5 months, tasks that do not directly contribute to the 3 foundational pillars must be relegated, deferred, or outright eliminated. This is not laziness, it's strategic conservation of energy. If Jim Rohn's philosophy teaches anything, it is that focused effort is always superior to scattered activity. Consider the power of environmental control. Rohn noted the profound influence of the people and input sources we surround ourselves with. For the next 5 months, you must aggressively manage your input matrix. Your mind is the fertile soil, and the information you consume is the seed. Are you planting weeds of gossip, distraction, and pessimism, or seeds of knowledge, challenge, and inspiration?
This requires an immediate surgical removal of influences that breed negativity or complacency. This includes social media consumption, casual television viewing, and most importantly, proximity to energy vampires, those who mock aspiration and celebrate stagnation. If they do not contribute to your philosophical growth, they are counterproductive to the plan. The process of transformation must be seen as an ascending spiral. Each success builds confidence, fueling the next, slightly harder challenge. We engage in a pattern interrupt here to underscore the severity of the commitment. This plan is not about motivation. Motivation is fleeting emotion. Discipline is the mechanism of lasting change. When the initial euphoria of starting fades and the sheer drudgery of consistency sets in during month 2, what will sustain you? Only the deep philosophical conviction that the person you are becoming is worth the temporary sacrifice of comfort.
We re-engage with the core promise. This 5-month commitment is a definitive investment that will determine the quality of your next 5 years. We are not aiming for incremental improvement. We are building an entirely new personal operating system, a system defined by intentionality, disciplined reflection, and high-leverage actions. And now, the crucial revelation, the centerpiece of the foundation required to transition from the theoretical state of wishing to the practical state of doing. To stabilize the volatility of sudden change, the first 30 days of this 5-month journey must be anchored by 3 non-negotiable, fundamental disciplines that build the structural integrity for the remaining 4 months. These 3 habits, taken directly from the distilled wisdom of high achievers, act as the stabilizing gyroscope of your transformation. They must be executed daily, without exception, regardless of circumstance, fatigue, or mood.
The first non-negotiable is the morning hour. This is not the hour you spend scrolling or checking emails. This is the sacred, protected first 60 minutes of your conscious day, dedicated entirely to input, planning, and mental conditioning. It must involve immediate physical movement to wake the body, reading to wake the mind, focusing exclusively on material that directly elevates your philosophy or skill set, and planning to define the 3 most crucial tasks that, if completed, make the day a success. This hour is the master lever of the entire day. If you win the morning, you drastically increase your chances of winning the day. Failure here is a structural collapse. The second non-negotiable is the daily record. Jim Rohn stressed the need to keep accurate records, not just of finances, but of life itself. Every day you must document not only your key accomplishments, but more importantly,
your key failures, your emotional state, and your lessons learned.
This isn't journaling for therapy. It's journaling for strategic intelligence. What decision today moved you forward? What small error compounded? How much time was wasted, and on what? This daily accountability forces transparency and prevents the comfortable self-deception that undermines progress. You cannot improve what you refuse to measure and face honestly. The third non-negotiable is the weekly review of errors. Every 7 days, you must conduct a surgical review of your daily record. This is where you isolate the recurring pattern interrupts, the repeated failures of discipline, and engineer a specific tactical solution to prevent them next week. This weekly accountability prevents drift. It allows for mid-course correction before small errors metastasize into massive derailments. The goal is to ensure that the errors you made this week are not the same errors you repeat next week. This deliberate, recurring audit system is what turns activity into mastery.
These three disciplines, the morning hour, the daily record, and the weekly review of errors, are the foundational requirements of the initial 30 days. They are the essential philosophical shifts. They are not optional. They forge the mental toughness and self-awareness necessary to handle the higher-level tactical challenges that will be introduced in the deeper months of the plan. The essence of this initial commitment is simple. We are moving from the amateur mindset, which relies on motivation, to the professional mindset, which relies on systems. The payoff for adhering to these three pillars for the first 30 days is profound. You establish momentum, you reclaim cognitive control, and you develop an unbreakable belief in your capacity for self-governance. You stop being the victim of circumstance and become the intentional designer of your day. The conclusion is swift, but the mandate is absolute.
The next 5 months are a non-negotiable contract you sign with your future self. Transformation is not a gentle evolution, it is a calculated revolution. The heavy lifting is mental, the requirement is discipline, and the reward is a life fundamentally redefined. The strategy is clear: focus ruthlessly, audit relentlessly, and commit completely to the 3 foundational disciplines we have just established. To prepare for the tactical deep dive into the remaining 4 months of the plan, the immediate call to action is preparation. You must physically acquire the instruments of change. Go now and secure a dedicated notebook for your daily record. Purchase a book, the single most impactful book you can read right now to elevate your philosophy, to begin your morning hour reading. And finally, define with absolute clarity the 3 greatest frustrations in your life that this transformation plan must resolve. Write them down. Be explicit. Your inventory is complete. The stage is set.
We move from theory to execution in the next part of this powerful life strategy. The journey toward a profound and lasting personal revolution, structured by the powerful insights of Jim Rohn, enters its final, most critical phase. If the preceding 4 months were dedicated to the meticulous laying of the foundation, the intellectual concrete of philosophy, the structural steel of finance, the supportive scaffolding of relationships, and the vital electrical wiring of physical health, then the 5th month is the ultimate stress test. It is the moment where theory confronts the unrelenting reality of daily existence, demanding not just compliance, but complete integration. This is not merely the end of a plan, it is the beginning of a perpetual redesign cycle, the point where the conscious effort must gracefully melt into subconscious character.
The profound shift that must now capture the imagination is the understanding that the greatest profit does not lie in the completion of the 5-month transformation, but in the enduring identity forged during the process. The immediate capture of attention must focus on the subtle yet devastating trap awaiting those who believe the hardest part is over. It is not. The moment of maximum danger is the moment of apparent success, when the guard drops and the gravitational pull of old habits seeks to reclaim its jurisdiction. The true enemy is not the initial difficulty of setting the new routine, but the insidious complacency that whispers, "You have done enough." To contextualize this final stage, one must remember the deliberate construction of the transformation. Month 1 required the harsh, honest confrontation with one's personal philosophy, demanding clarity on why one seeks change.
Month 2 enforced the rigid yet liberating discipline of financial stewardship, learning how to make the dollar serve rather than command. Month 3 necessitated the cultivation of a robust social network, understanding that capital is not just monetary, but relational. And month 4 was the necessary refueling, recognizing that the human engine must be maintained with zealous precision to handle the elevated demands of a designed life. The conflict now is not external. The tension is internal, centered entirely on synthesis. The 4 pillars established independently must now function as a single, interdependent structure. The open loop left hanging at the end of the 4-month execution period is this: what precisely does the 5th month demand? If the first 4 were about learning and doing, the 5th must be about being.
The 5th month in the Jim Rohn framework is the grand audit, the comprehensive review, and perhaps most importantly, the moment of final design integration. It is the month dedicated to closing the gap between the person you were on day 0 and the person the plan intended you to become. This is where the pattern interrupts are most severe, because they disrupt the very idea of linear progression. Progress is not linear, it is cyclical, and month 5 teaches the rhythm of the new cycle. The development of month 5 begins with a mandatory 10-day period dedicated solely to the audit of the 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 audit, philosophy refined. One must revisit the initial journals and declarations. Have the new actions, the disciplined budgeting, the early morning workouts, the intentional networking calls, actually cemented a new belief system, or are they merely forced behaviors?
The test here is resilience. When a crisis hits, when unforeseen chaos erupts, does the individual revert to the old victim mindset, or does the philosophical foundation hold firm, treating the setback not as a catastrophe, but as valuable, actionable data? The refinement here involves adjusting the initial beliefs to match the new evidence of competence gathered over 120 days. If the individual once believed they lacked willpower, but successfully executed 4 months of difficult tasks, the philosophy must be rewritten. I am a person of immense, sustainable discipline. Quadrant 2 audit, financial system stress tested. This is beyond balancing the budget. It is about assessing the emotional response to money. Has the new structure created a feeling of scarcity or one of empowered control? The critical task of month 5 is to project the current financial trajectory 5 years into the future.
Jim Rohn taught that you can't change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction overnight. The audit ensures the current direction established over the past 120 days leads definitively to the desired future state. If the discipline has only created meager savings, the system is flawed. If it has created tangible, measurable leverage, then the system is ready for scaling. The integration point here is the merging of philosophy and finance, using the newfound personal clarity, M1, to make sharper, more courageous investment decisions, M2. Quadrant 3 audit, the leveraged network review. The goal of month 3 was not simply to meet new people, but to cultivate valuable relationships. The month 5 audit requires ruthless honesty. Which relationships are merely transactional and which have become truly transformational? The individual must identify the 5 people who have most positively impacted their philosophical or financial growth in the last 4 months. The design integration demands that these key relationships are now woven into the permanent weekly or monthly schedule, ensuring that the environment continues to elevate the individual rather than drag them down.
This is the understanding that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and month 5 requires permanently optimizing that average. Quadrant 4 audit, energy and longevity assessment. This goes beyond checking weight or workout frequency. It's an examination of the energy surplus that the improved health has generated. Does the individual merely have enough energy to get through the day, or do they possess the surplus required for high-level creative work and persistent execution?
The integration here is key, linking the optimized physical energy, M4, directly to the sustained focus required for philosophical study and financial strategizing, M1 and M2. If the energy is not actively fueling the ambition, the health routine is merely maintenance, not leverage. Month 5 converts maintenance into massive leverage. The concept of the pattern interrupt is woven deeply into this audit period. The individual is forced to stop the doing and transition fully into designing. Jim Rohn's maxim, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much, becomes the central operating principle. The interruption is the forced moment of stillness required to look up from the immediate tasks and survey the distant horizon. As the narrative progresses through this intense audit, the re-engagement point is crucial.
After the exhaustive review of the 4 pillars, the focus must shift entirely to the future. This is the moment to look away from the successful execution of the past 150 days and embrace the concept that the 5-month transformation was in reality the planting of the seed. Now, the new climate must be intentionally managed for the seed to grow into the fruit-bearing tree. The past 4 months have built the discipline. The 5th month builds the self-trust required to abandon the reliance on external metrics and trust the internal compass. This leads us directly to the climax, the perpetual design cycle and the principle of time leverage. The ultimate revelation of a 5-month transformation is that the 5th month is not the finish line, it is the launch pad. The plan's power lies not in its completion, but in its ability to instill the non-negotiable habit of review, adjust, and relaunch.
The final synthesis is the profound understanding that discipline, applied consistently, does not create restriction, it creates freedom. The closure of all loops is found in this single truth. The individual has successfully moved from reacting to life's circumstances to consciously designing life's outcomes. The payoff of the 150 days is the acquisition of time leverage. Think of the person who started 5 months ago, burdened by debt, fueled by sporadic motivation, and guided by a fluctuating philosophy. That individual spent 80% of their mental energy reacting to external crises, the overdue bill, the immediate health scare, the negative relationships. The transformed individual, having successfully navigated month 5, operates differently. Because month 1 stabilized their philosophy, they waste no time debating purpose. Because month 2 systematized their finances, they spend no mental energy worrying about scarcity. Because month 3 built robust networks, they spend minimal time searching for advice or opportunity. It is offered. Because month 4 optimized their health, they possess the stamina for persistent high-level work without constant burnout. The revelation is that the 5-month plan liberated 60% of their previous reactive mental energy. This newly freed capacity is the ultimate profit. This capacity is what Jim Rohn called the ability to focus on the high-value activities, the strategic planning, the creative execution, the investment in long-term growth. The 5 months have paid off by giving the individual back the most valuable commodity they possess, undistracted mental bandwidth. The final definition of month 5 is therefore the establishment of the personal accountability board. The individual is no longer following a strategy written by someone else. They have written their own constitution. They have moved from being an apprentice to becoming the master designer. This is the moment of definitive ownership. The ultimate success is found in the ability to look at the accumulated evidence, the saved capital, the improved relationships, the physical vitality, and declare, without hesitation, I orchestrated this. The philosophy has created the discipline, and the discipline has generated the definitive profit, a life lived intentionally, a life of profound design. The initial conflict, the struggle against inertia, is now permanently resolved by the overwhelming force of the new disciplined momentum. The conclusion is swift, definitive, and liberating. The 5-month transformation plan, built on the pillars of Jim Rohn's powerful life strategy, is not an event to be completed, but a continuous loop to be maintained. You have successfully navigated the terrain of self-doubt and chaos. You have proven that disciplined effort weighs ounces, while the regret of inaction weighs tons.
The individual standing now at the precipice of month 6 is qualitatively different. They are no longer waiting for opportunity. They are creating the environment where opportunity is inevitable. The days of hoping for a better life are over. The era of designing an exceptional life has officially begun. You are no longer merely surviving the seasons of life. You are mastering them. The architect has completed the blueprint and overseen the construction of the new self. The time for reflection is brief, for the power of this strategy lies only in its continued execution. If you have recognized the power of the perpetual cycle, if you understand that discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment, then there is only one immediate, essential action to take. Do not wait for a perfect Monday, a new month, or a fresh year. The greatest failure is the failure to start.
Therefore, the immediate call to action is to initiate the first, most crucial step of the transformation. Today, commit to writing the first paragraph of your new personal philosophy. Begin the 5-month journey now, with the understanding that the eventual profit will not be monetary, but the priceless acquisition of a self-designed, self-directed, and profoundly meaningful life. Begin now.